Alright, so looking at the first Toyota Century, this beautiful black one, the most obvious difference between this and the blue one are these fender mirrors. Now the fender mirrors were a very iconic Japanese style design. Around the 70s they started, 80s, 90s they went into. Usually on the luxury vehicles, you see them on like Toyota Crowns, especially the taxi derivatives. You'll see them on Mitsubishi Debonairs, Nissan Presidents, but the Century really holds this design very aesthetically, and I feel it really captures that kind of big, imposing Japanese sedan. Another difference you'll see is it has this post over here. Now, a lot of Japanese cars have this. Now, a lot of people say, oh, this is for like the flag, it's like a presidential vehicle, it's what the emperor would drive. In reality, this is just to know how far you are from hitting something when you're parking. Because this is a very long car, when you're on the right side, you might not get your bearings so much and you might need a little bit of assistance. So this lets you know, hey, this is the end of your bumper, don't go further than this. So it's a pretty cool touch over there. All right, so as we come around the back here, we can see this beautiful Century lettering back here in chrome, along with the Century logo here, which is this kind of like geese, swan style over here. And if you look at the whole car, you won't find any Toyota badging emblems anywhere. So I mean, you might find like, you know, manufactured by Toyota, but actual like Toyota logo and that stuff you won't find anywhere. And the reason for it is the Century is really like its own brand. It's like its own manufacturer, and you'll see a few Japanese models that act like this in Japan, usually reserved for the very special models. Now, opening the trunk over here, it's just a massive cavern in here. And in fact, I'm 6'2", and I can fit in quite comfortably back here. Another cool touch is, not that it's something super original to this car, especially by 98. I mean, Mercedes was doing it already in the early 90s with the W140, but it's still nice to see is the soft closed trunk lid. So that's really nice to see. As we come along the side here, we can see the length of this executive full-size luxury vehicle, and proudly displays that Century logo with the V12 underneath it. This being the only V12 that is produced by Japan or was ever produced in Japan. It makes it a very special vehicle. And just look, the chrome door handles really accentuate this beautiful design. So it just touches the chrome on the underside too, along the window rails here. So it makes a very classic design. The black with the chrome really pops. And I love the design. Now, if I was going to keep the car a bit longer, these wheels are pretty cool, but they're only 16-inch. And on a car this big, it needs something a little bit bigger, something that pops a little bit more. But it is very of the era of that late 90s design. So you got those kind of tiny wheels, but as a result, you got some really thick tires on top of them. So you get that really smooth ride with that air suspension on all four corners. Okay, so as cool as that exterior is, the interior is what people really want to see in the Century and why people buy this car. I mean, this is the Japanese Rolls-Royce after all. And we're just surrounded by wood and wool. Yeah, you heard me right, wool. This is a real wool fabric interior, and I actually prefer it over the leather, and I think a lot of people do as well. While don't get me wrong, the leather interior in the Century is also very good quality and high level. Something about having a real wool interior makes it very special, because you don't really see that material used in interiors anywhere outside of Japan. And in Japan, Toyota uses it really on the Century, and on some of the higher level Celsiors or Crowns, you'll see it as an option, but here it comes as the standard option with the wool, and it's very comfortable. I gotta say, it's amazing, this interior. You just have that luxury feel, and the reason why they choose wool is because in Japan it gets quite hot and humid in the summer, and the wool does a better job of kind of letting you breathe versus like the sticky leather. So that's that. But let's take a look inside here. I mean, we got so many buttons, which is so cool. And another thing that's pretty interesting is that in the Century, most of the controls are in Japanese. When you buy any other JDM car, most of the controls will still be in English. I mean, after all, they get exported to different countries all around the world, but the Century stays in Japan, and it was supposed to stay in Japan. We were never supposed to get this car. The fact that it's now here in America was not something the engineers or designers ever envisioned. So as a result, everything's pretty much in Japanese for the most part, but I think that's pretty cool. Let's take a look at some of the cool features here. I think first of all, we can see that it does have a fully digital gauge cluster, which I think is cool still. Oh yeah. Hopefully I don't get a copyright struck for whatever the song is. But the big difference between this and my other one is the interior, really, because the other one has a leather interior, this has a wool, but the other one is actually a higher trim level as well, and it didn't have the same features. For example, this clock over here is replaced by this kind of rudimentary GPS system, which works well for its time, but really shows its age. I think having this analog clock over here is really classic and really, again, kind of makes it feel like that Rolls Royce, right? The audio system here and AC controls are pretty much the same though. For some reason, the high suspension setting in this one is actually labeled in English versus the other one, which is in Japanese. Another thing is this car seems to have a lot more wood. I don't know if this was added by the owner after, but it really matches the rest of the wood. And I'm guessing this is probably, yeah, it's already peeling. So I'm guessing this was added after by the owner to just add more wood, because you can see it's all around here. So that is pretty cool. Also, the shift lever here is leather versus the other one has the wood shift lever. And also the steering wheel on this one is a little skinnier. The other one has like a thicker grip on the wheel, but I think that's also aftermarket. So it's actually really cool to see and compare the two Centuries I have and see all the different options. Don't get me wrong, it's really cool being over here, but the back is where we really want to see the cool stuff in the Century. Alright, so here in the back seat, it's where you really want to be in the Century, because this car was meant to be driven in, not to drive, although it is a nice drive. So, first of all, this seat is way too close here. So, over here, you've got quite a nice array of buttons, and right here, let's see, we've got yeah, let's say this guy's way too... Whoever's sitting here doesn't matter, honestly. It's, this car is not for him, it's for me. It's for me, the executive. They're gonna put the seat all the way up front, and I mean, it goes all the way. Now, the piece de resistance, lower this over here, and put our feet through. But hey, this is not too comfortable still. Let's recline this seat all the way. Now we're talking. But oh, my headrest is a little bit too low. Let's lift this a little bit too. Oh yeah. Okay. Now we're living life, right? And over here on the side, we've got a nice little cushion for my head as well, if I want to use this as a little pillow. Well, what's a man to do? On a business call, meeting, over here, we've got a mic recording. So you press this button here, and I control pretty much the radio station, but I can also record myself. I record myself and then I can play back the little memo I left with these controls over here. Another thing, some of the models, like my other one, actually has over here a TV. Over here we don't have that, but we do have radio controls. So we pop out this beautiful remote control over here, Century logo. Now, I think this remote, not sure if it's different than the other one. I need to look at my other car. But pretty much you control the radio station here. Couple cup holders, again, not for your big American drinks, but for classy Japanese style drinks. Great. You got my AC controls here. And yeah, actually this controls the AC too. I can go there. Now, I need to make sure I'm looking good for my meeting. Got this nice vanity mirror. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Another one over here. Got another controls here. Now this is pretty cool too. You can actually adjust the level of the brightness on these lights. And funny enough, on here it's not working. But on this one, we can see that it dims and brightens. So if it's too bright, you can lower the brightness. Really cool touch. And you also have two lights. Little coat hook over here. I mean, you got all the gizmos. It's so much fun just to be back here and figure everything out. And look at the attention to detail. Toyota New, even with the seat reclined all the way forward, it's not touching when this tray is out here. That just, I mean, this is what happens when you give Toyota saying, let's make the best car in the world. They go out and do it. I mean, this car is just absolutely amazing. So again, we got all the controls here, and you got massaging seats as well. Although I'm not sure about the exact settings, so I need to play around with that a little bit. But overall, it's so much fun to be back here, and I mean, you can just fall asleep. You're the executive. You deserve a day of rest. All right, so under the hood, we got the only V12 ever made in Japan. First gen Toyota Centuries only came with a V8, albeit a heavy V8. But yeah, this is way cooler. And this thing puts out about 300 horsepower on paper and about 354 foot-pounds of torque. Weighing about 4,400 pounds, 2 metric tons. It actually accelerates not too badly because it has a lot of good low-end torque. So it's a very torquey engine, gets enough power when you need it, and it's a very smooth ride. Alright, I love driving the Century because it has such good low-end torque. I mean, this is a 2-ton vehicle. But with the V12 engine, it's producing about 300 horsepower and about 355 pound-feet of torque. But you're getting around 300 of those torques right at 1200 RPM. So pretty much from the get-go, you're getting all that power. So it accelerates very briskly. This FedEx truck gets out of the way. Okay, I'll show you guys here on a piece of stretch. You really get up to freeway speeds very easily with little to no drama on the acceleration. It's just so effortless. Okay, so something I really love about the Century is it doesn't have a tachometer, but look at that. Right below the speedometer, you actually do have a tach, digital tach. So I can know I'm not going 2000 RPM. So very classy. Although tachometer should usually be front and center. With a luxury vehicle like this, that's not necessary. It's similar to how in the Rolls-Royce, it doesn't tell you how much RPM you're really using. It says pretty much a reserve, how much reserve power you have. So, really cool touch here. Just what a smooth ride. You guys, you can't feel this, but it is like a cloud. At the same time, you do have a good driving feel. Like I can feel what's going on the road still through the steering wheel. So Toyota's really struck a balance where it's not so floaty like it's an American land yacht from the 70s. It still feels direct enough that I feel confident in my control of the vehicle and in taking the turns in the pace I want to take it. But at the same time, I'm just enveloped in this cushiony air suspension ride that is second to none. And then when I need to, I can accelerate quite briskly. Sorry, Cadillac. Too slow for me. I mean, look at that. It's effortless. You barely have to touch a throttle and it just accelerates this 2-ton behemoth like it's an economy car. I mean, in terms of its weight, you don't feel the weight when you're actually moving. Yeah, initially you can see it's a big car, but wow. And the brakes are also, again, pretty adequate for a car this weight. Yeah, it's not carbon ceramic or anything like that. But considering that it's on 16-inch wheels and the brakes are obviously quite smaller in diameter, it's not bad at all for such a heavy car. Another thing you will get in this car, you're just so insulated from the road. There's like pretty much no outside noise. Hear a little bit of the engine, a little bit of the tires, but even then it's so muted compared to pretty much any vehicle you're going to be driving. This is what happens when you're driving a real hand-built luxury vehicle from the world's greatest car manufacturer. And this thing has such a road presence, especially the fender mirrors. I mean, people see you coming down, they're like, whoa, get out of his way. Don't have time for these peons. If I had a passenger back there, that'd be an absolute comfort and serenity. But I do not have a chauffeur as of yet, so I will be doing my own driving, which again I prefer. Alright guys, so there you have it. That is the review on my black 1998 Toyota Century. Again, I have another video on that one's coming up soon, but unfortunately this one's going to its new home soon, getting picked up, so can't really do too much on it. But again, if you like the video, please like, comment, subscribe, share. Really trying to grow the channel. Adam, JDM, that's where it's at. And remember, life is too short to drive something boring. So drive something JDM, drive something cool, but I mean, don't drive these econo boxes or these crossovers. I mean, come on. If you're a car guy, car girl, you gotta drive something cool. And the Century is most definitely a really cool pick. Good for any occasion. Could be good in VIP build, stock build. I mean, anywhere you have it, it's a really cool car. So anyways, this is the first Century I own, won't be the last, and looking forward to the next one I own as well. So take care, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.